today. See if we can get a view real quick. Before we are way behind on schedule. Started way late. Of course, it's a Dookie. This phone is no good. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. The signal is not good enough for the Bella box, I guess. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going on there. Here we are, chat. Snow Evergreen, thanks for the yeah, no, it's all pixelated for everybody. Actually, I'm sorry. Yeah, there's no towers. There's no anything. Um, I took through some tunnels and stuff, but it's down here, so yeah. I'm gonna try one more time to check the Bella box connections, but I don't think the southmost point, nice view, but no signal. Yeah. I'm trying to fix it, Chicken Meister. Um, but I'm taking a bunch of pictures. Check the Instagram. Like I said, I'm gonna try to do the Bella box again. I'm gonna send everyone to. I'm gonna try to. I'm gonna send everyone to I think the privacy mode. I think that's got the videos on it now, and then we're gonna try to fix the Bella box. It was working, and now it's not. So who knows? All right. Yeah, I'm gonna send everyone to privacy instead of beer. Well, we'll just try. We'll just try.
do what I want to do. And I think this is, so my next question is in regards to whenever you shifted from, I know I'm jumping, but when did you know, okay, making woodblock prints was a you/family thing into making it the zaibatsu that Mokuhankan is today? When did you know it was something that had to be grown or had to be expanded?
There's no single moment. And the thing is, remember, I said a minute ago that before we came to Japan, we had a plan. We made the spreadsheets. It was a plan, but it was a very short-term plan. How are we going to survive? How are we going to, teach English 3 days a week, Thursday starting at 5:30 in the afternoon? When we had that plan to get on the ground and get up and running, there was no plan at that point for Mokuhankan and YouTube. Just to keep this perspective in mind. It's grown and matured and developed along the way as I've grown. I would never, if you'd have caught me at the end of the Poet series, when I'd finished that 10-year series, the thing I was talking about a few minutes ago, if you had told me at that moment, Dave, let me tell you a little scene from the future. There's going to be a building in Asakusa with a big sign out front, and you're going to have 32 employees, and your gross revenue each year is going to be what, and that you're going to sleep X hours a day. I would have just laughed at you. I would have said either in your dreams or in your nightmares. I don't know what viewpoint would have been. Because what I'm doing now is nothing at all what I expected to be doing. And of course, I'm now 72. At that time, I was 39 or whatever it was. You make your plan, you do what you're trying to do, and of course, nobody knows where it's going and what's going to happen. Keep your eyes open as things change. This thing called things evolve as you go along, Where I'm going to go, I still got lots to do.
It's next question, and maybe it's a secret, but what's the next step for yourself or Mokuhankan? I know I've heard of exhibit rooms or cafe or.
I'm not going to tell you what the plan is to what we're going to make and what we're going to do. The next challenge for me, the next thing that I have got to sort out, is how to get this business into a situation where it has a chance of survival post David, because something has gone, I was going to say it's gone terribly wrong here. Something has happened that I didn't plan. Is it okay to talk about myself here? Or
absolutely.
Is that why we're here?
We're here for you.
We've been hearing your life story.
No, we're here for you.
Okay, to roll this back then.
Yeah.
It would be when I was 59. I'm 72 now, so this is 13 years ago or so. When I was 59, I had one of these, not a life crisis, but it was a decision point. There was a flag in the ground and a left and a right. Dave, you're going to be 60 next year. It's time to think about something like where you're going to go from here. I was wonderfully successful, wonderfully happy. My family is grown up and gone. They're out. I was making these beautiful prints, had a nice workshop, the river, you blah, 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 blah. Couldn't ask for more. But sitting there thinking, unfortunately, I'm going to be getting old. I'm here good 59. I'll be 60 next year, a little bit of a milestone. I'm okay. 65, no problem. I'll eat that up with no problem. 70, I'll probably be okay. 70, you put me, what's my plan for that era? So I thought there's two ways to do this. Keep on doing what you're doing. Keep your workshop here, keep making prints, just follow your nose and do what you're going to do. The fear, though, is that at some point you're going to become this little old man in this house surrounded by garbage, and people walk by and there's where that funny foreigner lives and makes those prints. I may be 99 or, but that's the end game there. The other game then, when I'm 59, I thought, what I could do starting next year when I'm 60, I'll keep making prints, but how about we did this? Gathered around a few young people and sort of people that were interested, tried to train them on this, started doing cooperative printmaking. Remember, up until then, I trace, I cut, I print, I sell. I do everything by myself. Get some other people and let's do it like it was done in the old days. I can publish prints, let's do this. Somebody could design, somebody can carve, somebody could print. If I could spend 10 years, and this was my calculated, reasoned guess, if I spent 10 years gathering a few people around, let it grow, we'll maybe have a workshop. And after 10 years, I've built this workshop, and we can say, guys, there you guys go. You can move to the future. And I will sit in one corner of that workshop and be a member of that team. And that will be my end game. As I get older and less able to take care of myself, the team and this organization would, not wipe my bum, but whatever, they would be there, take care of me as I move forward. It has gone that way. We now have a wonderful organization. It's world famous. It's good. There's 32 people as of 33 next week, whatever. There's 30 people working here. The problem is the idea after 10 years when we could put it aside and then I'll go and just work in one corner. It hasn't worked that way. It has become, I use this word a little bit foolishly perhaps, it's become a kind of a cult. It turns out that all the people who see our work don't just want the woodblock prints, they want a piece of this guy. I don't mean to say it in a bad way.
Yeah,
We've
no,
done this so well, and we've
Yeah.
told the story so well and made prints that are so beautiful, but they don't stand on their own. They're beautiful to people because of the story of their creation in the sky. So I'm not able to actually stand back and go and sit in that corner and do that. Partly because the organization is still too young. It's not able to stand and run by itself yet. And partly because of this cult thing that's developed. People come in the door day after day after day. They don't head for the prince. They
head for you.
They want to head for me. And this is gloriously, wonderfully, my head just swells every day. It's trouble to get my hat on. That's my point being. So of course it's wonderfully a happy thing to have happened to me, but it doesn't bode well for the future of this organization. So to roll the conversation back, to challenge me right now, my next big job is to somehow try and put this organization on a stable footing where it will have a chance of survival. What did I say? Post Dave, And the analogy, and I might get criticized for this or feeling a bit pretentious, the kind of analogy is if you work back a decade or so to Steve Jobs and Apple. All of us outside that thing thought, oh, he's got cancer, oh my God, he's going to die. That's it, that's the end of the day, because he's the guy. That whole thing runs around that glowing heart at the center of that place. It didn't happen. It may happen, whatever, but fine, we've got 10 years now to show that it didn't happen, because what he did was he managed to create a culture that sort of honors the same kind of things that he honored. Not 100%, it's not the same company as it was when he was there, but he put a culture in place that meant he could get out of there or be taken out of there. And some competent people, some competent philosophy, and an ability and a framework in place to do this properly. Now, we're no Apple, we're not really, but the point being the same. I should be working every day to make sure that the people working here, they grok what I grok. They have the same ethics and things about looking at prints. And they do. The people working here now, they see me get a patch print. That's okay, that's okay. No, that's no good, that's no good. That's okay, that's okay. Dave, what's going on? I show them why I think this is no good and why I think that's okay. Try and bring them to the same vision that I hold for what this company could be, perhaps should be.
This is maybe going to be a complicated question, but this is kind of a bit more business. Like, hiring people can be very difficult. Interview processes or just same wavelength, things like that. I'm biased here,
No,
but
I succeed
but
and I fail.
You do a pretty solid job. Is that people coming to you?
You
Or,
just
I guess
don't
not.
know. We've had huge failures. I'm sorry, we've had huge failures.
So with that said, though, how a lot of the people I see, or maybe again my framework is very limited of what I get to see here, but you do a pretty good job. When you do interview people, what makes how can you tell if
No, we're not big enough to have an HR department that have that kind of structure. The people who mostly work here are people who bumped into us. They hear about us. They've come in. We don't have a structure for this. There's no sit down, let's have an interview. There's no formal structure for this. We don't even look at resumes. I'm not interested in seeing someone's resume. Where did they go to school? What did they do? I don't care. They sit down. And what I want to see in a person is, one, I want to feel that I'm in the presence of a happy person, a person who is in their own life is basically an optimistic kind of person rather than a pessimistic kind of person. That's what I want to see first. What I want to see second, there is no second.
I think optimism is in this might be. I think optimism's getting
happiness.
hard.
A person who is
happiness.
enjoying life to some extent. They're not always happy. I mean, my God, I'm not always happy. But the person being that, in general, as far as you can measure it, they look forward to what they're doing. They want to be doing something interesting. So when I say optimistic, it's a one-word catch-all for a bunch of things wrapped up together. What I want to develop, and we pretty much have this here, where the people come to work each morning and they're happy to get here. They're not coming in, fuck, it's Monday morning, Like,
Like,
you're happy to
job.
get here.
Yeah.
And then also, at 5:30 when they do leave. You saw them here, actually. Can you believe that this is a company in Japan? 5:30 bell rang, and they were gone.
Yeah.
It wasn't always that way. When we had started hiring people, they wouldn't go home because I'm still here. I had to get the, oh, it's okay, I'll work, get out of here. But what I was trying to say was that when they do leave at 5:30, one, they leave at 5:30, and second, they're still smiling.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you've hung around here a lot. So I want them coming in happy, come up the stairs happy. It's not always happy. There's things here that it's not some perfect paradise of a company to work, and we have problems, and we have some human relations that don't always go well. But as much as possible, bring them in happy, give them satisfying work to do, and have them happy when they go home.
Yeah,
and take those holidays.
Yeah. Do you have difficulties enforcing that, or do you have difficulties enforcing that, or
I did, but no, now it's set.
No,
it's set. Now the culture is here.
Because that's one thing that blew my mind. I used to teach English at the Ministry of Finance, and I would always ask. At some point, there would be a lesson about vacation days or something. And it's like, so how many vacation days does everyone get? And they go, we get 20 days.
We don't want to talk about this.
And I go, how many do you take? And they go, maybe 5?
Or -5. They work 5 extra days they shouldn't have worked. Well, we all know about how it works.
Yeah.
It's changing very, very slowly from here because I'm a foreigner running this case. That ground rule was in place from day one. From day one. There's a bit of a paradox there, where if you were a really sort of sharp interviewer here who had lots more experience, at this point you would poke me and say, wait a minute, Dave. There's this saying which we know all around the world in any culture. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. So hold that thought in your mind. We've also seen over the past couple of decades, or few decades, examples of foreign companies coming into Japan, knowing that they have a different business method. We'll show them how to do it. Because the Japanese, for example, retail system is full of inefficiencies and stuff like this. So a foreign company might come in and say, we know how to, do this properly. And there's example of both ways. Foreign companies coming in and just not being able to make it work in Japan. And the question I'm trying to put on the table here is, how much does a foreigner coming in say, we're going to do it my way because I know how to do it better than you? As in the example I just said, you are going to take your holidays, everybody. Yeah. You're going to go home at 5 o'clock, no overtime. As a foreigner, that's the way we do it in Canada, Germany, England, whatever, as much as possible. So I've brought this in and said, that's how we're going to do it. Yeah. But having said that, that's a policy that was able to be transplanted here. But if I came in and tried to speak to my employees the way that I spoke to employees in Canada, I wouldn't have lasted a week. So I've got to be Japanese and feel Japanese and read the room and get what's going on. And this is the most difficult thing I have undertaken in my 72 years to date, by far. Nothing to do with printmaking, nothing to do with carving, nothing to do with music composition, anything. It's managing this group of 30 people who are Japanese and who are foreigners and who have a foreign leader here, living in the middle of a Japanese culture. And man, oh man, I would not recommend this to anybody.
That's one thing I think when I have contracts with various companies and I look at who's the management or how's the structure, and it is, is this more of a Japanese company? Okay, then I need to do things more of the Japanese way. It's run by a non-Japanese person. Okay, I can not necessarily relax, but it's not as tight as the pressure's not there. When obviously you've been in business for a little while, do you have any advice for people who want to take that jump from, again, when you first started making block, and I know woodblock is a very niche field, I would say. I think it's safe to say. But starting out on your own, because a lot of people in Japan, they're the salary man, salary woman, and so did you feel a lot of resistance starting out on your own?
Get to the point. Sorry, Jason.
No, you're good. I'm talking around it. Do you have any advice for people who...
You're trying to mix up 3 or 4 questions all at the same time.
I'm trying to make it a multi-layered, But do you have any advice for people? Because I think a lot of people in the U.S. as well, I don't know, but I know they're disillusioned with, and we've talked about this before, being shackled to a company, but then you've also talked about now that
I'll try and get the point you're trying to say. Remember, there's no single story here. I did come as a single person. I wasn't thinking entrepreneur. I wasn't thinking startup. The world wasn't like that. I wanted to simply make prints. at that time, I didn't understand much about the traditional Japanese printmaking, which was teamwork. One guy carved, one guy printed. All I know is that I want to make prints, which I assumed meant I would make prints. I learned very quickly that I wasn't able to actually create the art part that's the first step in necessary to making prints and feeding my kids with it. And I sort of came to a slow realization about that the first few years while I was teaching English happily in my classroom there to feed the kids. So that became the first problem. That sort of image I had wanted to do as a solo person doing this wasn't actually possible as a solo person in the traditional way. So again, not seeing then what I have now, but stumbling forward step by step. The way to move forward at that point was to, I see I don't need to make my own art because there are traditional Japanese prints. I can take some of the old Japanese prints, there's no copyright on them, and I can do the part that I like. Chop wood, print, and maybe if somebody would like to take this thing. So I fell into that luckily because I was able to do, I had enough of the physical skills to do this and package the thing together and present it as this Canadian making Japanese prints. And I realized I didn't have to do the drawing, which I was no good at. So that's the first step of this, all as a single person doing actually a different bunch of people's jobs all together. 2, 3, 4 years, have exhibitions, do a newsletter, and I realized I'm now a businessman, I'm doing accounting. You know, I was ending up actually doing 10 different jobs all by myself because that was the way to make a living as a solo independent, we would now say entrepreneur, but I wasn't thinking entrepreneur, I was just a guy trying to make a living. But it was just one man doing what you had to do to make it happen. So to try and get that question you asked in focus there, you know.
Whenever that same thing. When I was young, I started pushing boxes at 16, doing backstage work, and I realized, okay, this is now I was sole proprietor is the tax term in the U.S. and I quickly learned like, okay, again, more skills, and then okay, I have to do my own accounting for tax purposes, even at a young age, and I think that's one reason why when I came to Japan. I didn't just join an eikaiwa and then just grind it out or join a company and grind it out. For me, I knew kind of quickly after coming here, I would not enjoy grinding it out salaryman life.
Being an employee or being told what to do.
Being told what to do consistently. Obviously, if you have contracts with companies, you have obligations, but that's...
Okay, but then when you think the wider part, the people who are watching this, I don't even know where they are, what country they are in, what age they are. There is this, these days, there are so many more options to us, you know. In the old days, it was you go to school, you come out, you get a job, and you do this. Some very small percentage of people went to school and then, you know, started a company or did something. These days, that option is wide open and available to anybody. But my guess is the number of people say, let's take graduating from school as the sort of start point for this decision. Am I going to work for somebody? Am I going to be a solo person, whatever? There's no training for this. And our whole education system, based right from kindergarten all the way up, is still expecting people to come out of school and become sort of, not a factory worker, but become a worker of an employee. There's almost no training, either technically or accounting-wise or whatever, or mentally preparing this person for being the solo entrepreneur. And if I was, you know, designing a new education system for the planet or whatever, step one, TNT, blow up those concrete buildings, whatever. And step two, develop a curriculum where young people, as they're maturing and becoming young and learning the language and becoming teenagers and learning how to socialize and all that stuff, they were also learning things about different options for making a living in a society that is so flexible and changing. So I'm sorry, I got long story short, but that's it. There's no training for us to be entrepreneurs or to be solo things. And there's no expectation that this is a legitimate career path. Although nowadays, I guess, more and more and more it is.
I mean, that's, I agree with you, especially with education. One thing, you know, when I came to Japan, my first job was Kodomaika Kids English, and I was, of course, very American brain of, when I get to Japan, everyone will speak some English because that's what we're taught. Not high level, but if I say hello, how are you, people will respond. And I learned on the plane from Vancouver to Tokyo that that's not the case. And I think a lot of that also has to do with education. And many of my clients ask me, well, aren't all Americans good at debating? And
Jason, what you're describing is not a bug, it's a feature. You came here originally, you were going to be teaching language, then that's it. The people are dysfunctional. This is the world's gorgeous, biggest, wide open opportunity on the planet. And I fell into this. We came here in 1986. I went to a local language school to get a job. And they said, sorry, guy, out. I didn't have a degree, didn't have all that stuff. And so I thought, okay, plan B, let's do this. And that's the best thing that ever happened to me. We opened a little Kodomo Eikaiwa. And the idea wasn't to train them for their next examination. It was to sit together in a tatami room, and there were kids and a guy who had a beard, and learn that they're just all human beings and talk together, you know.
Yeah.
So that's it, get the words out of their mouth. And that's what I spent 5 years doing, really, really quite successfully, and having a ton of fun.
Yeah, that's, I mean, one thing I've been teaching / coaching, whatever, for 8 years now, kids, and then government, and then now, you know, executives and doctors and things like that. But I like helping. I like teaching, and I think some people look at English teaching as a, and I'm sure you're just an English teacher. You're just in the foreigner bubbles. It's you're an English teacher or you're a recruiter. Those two things, and maybe. But
Okay.
Do you ever feel that?
Well, I have no shame that I did that for the first 4 years here.
I mean that people who
for
do
me,
it for
it was a
long
step-
term. I guess people who do it for, like, if you talk to
It's
someone and they say
value to society.
yeah, that's good. So I think some people, when I talk to them, because I've been teaching for 8 years, and they go,
Because
why
you're
are
a failure, you
still
only teach.
teaching?
Okay, well,
Yeah,
whatever.
like-
that's your own self-image. I don't know.
But
Nothing to do
and
with me.
I say I like it,
Nothing to do with
and
me.
you know,
For me, if we weren't able to sell prints, and after 40 years I was still teaching English and then selling one print a year, then that would be an abject failure. No, of course, that's not my self-image.
yeah, that's not what you want.
For me, I had
to
the
do.
plan.
Yeah.
I taught English because we hit the ground running and taught English, and then started selling print. The overlap. 86 we came, 89 sold the first print, 91 closed the English school. So it sort of worked out as a good plan. But I have no disrespect for English teachers. My
Yeah.
God.
Well, no, I didn't mean to imply that you did, but I think that some people do view it as, you didn't, you know, move on to something else, or you didn't, and I think maybe that's because I stayed in, and I plan to stay in. But when it comes to, you know, running, now that you said you do 10 jobs, but you're the CEO of Moko Hong Kong, you're the leader. Do you feel that there's more pressure for you to run the business than do the carving that you originally set out to do? Did you find yourself spending more time doing the boss things?
If you've seen, many of your people probably have seen it, but the last video I put out at the end of last year showing our current situation, you've seen we're in the process of explosive growth at the moment. And that means my days are taken up with business management, firefighting more than I'm supposed to be firefighting, and the amount of time I can get back at my bench actually doing carving work is really, really very limited these days. Be careful what you wish for, because you might get it. You know, I started a company, and it's gloriously, gloriously successful, and coming along with that has been a stunning amount of work. It goes back to what I said a few minutes ago. My next job really is to get this place stable, which means hiring in people that will do more of these things. I don't think we're going to be able to hire a CEO, but I could certainly maybe a general manager or a PA or something, and get me back to the bench if I can make this happen. A pessimistic view is I'm sort of failing at this. I'm floundering too much, if you'd have come in a couple of hours earlier today. Or we're all on track and we are growing stably, and bit by bit, as people join, I will be able to step back. I don't know. Both things are true. I'm floundering, which is true, but we're growing spectacularly. So I'm not sure where it's going. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, I think it's, as you said, you know, be careful what you wish for. And we've talked about working, building up through a company. You and I have talked about this privately before, but feeling shackled, and how I felt shackled to this, and then how people feel tied to a company, tied to a job, tied to a posting.
Wait a minute, I'm tied to this because I started it,
Yes.
and there's 30 people working here. There are people now that are getting married together. There are X number that are pregnant here at the moment. There are people who actually now depend on my actions for their daily life. Now, I got to be careful how seriously I take this. Oh my God, 32 people. If I had a stroke tonight, they're all going to be starving on the street. That's not true, because they are competent people, and in this current environment, they will be able to get work other places. But I can't be too cavalier about this. Oh, shit, we can close this down. You go find something else. I can't do that.
Yeah,
They are depending on me to build this thing into a stable, we all know it's not Toyota. It's a little company run by one foreigner, renting a little place here. So they have no sort of job security in that sense. But they expect me to do what I can to make this thing happen, of course. And I feel that is one of at my age now, a very, very, very heavy responsibility. And if you'd asked me decades ago, when you're 70-something, will you be in this situation? I would have laughed at you. I will never, ever let myself get into that kind of a stupid situation. I'll take care of my responsibilities. And by the time I'm 70, my God, by the time I'm 60, it'll all be settled and I will be enjoying myself, productively doing things. And here I am, I'm 72, still paying into pension. What? That's not how it's supposed to happen. Like I said, be careful what you build and be careful what you wish for.
What do you think has been the biggest attribute or characteristic for yourself that I would consider you very successful on many fronts? You mentioned that you were successful.
I have a wide ranging skill set. Yeah, absolutely.
How did you get to that point where you are good at? I don't want to say not the Midas touch, good at everything type of thing, but how did you? What personality? Because for me, I think I'm stubborn.
What is he leading up to here?
I'm
how
very
can I
stubborn.
answer this question?
My success is based on my stubbornness, I think. For you, you're successful in quite a different, in a wide variety of things throughout your years. Is there something you say, I am stubborn, or I am smart, I'm planful? Like what do you think has led to your
How can I answer this question honestly? No, I mean, seriously, you've asked this, and I am sitting here. I'm a pretty smart guy. I mean, whatever I can, through my life, the pattern's been whatever I've tried to do, I'm able to do it fairly well. This is DNA, or it's whatever you call it, IQ or EQ or whatever all these numbers are. I'm a pretty competent person. I'm not always the most organized person, but I'm pretty competent. And I think, I'm sorry, see this,
No,
can you get me in trouble here?
No.
What I want to think, what I want to believe, and when I look in the mirror brushing my teeth, I want to believe that I'm a normal person in the sense that the kind of things I've done, any normally competent person could do.
Yes.
And yet sometimes the evidence is against this, that the skill set I have really is so wide-ranged and varied that I really don't know if I could say, hey, you want to try this, it'll be good, follow your dream, you'll be successful. I don't do that anymore, because I've had experience now with some of my English students back 40 years ago, where me and my wife, we said this to some people, and they tried it, and they fell flat on their ass. So I no longer do that anymore, because I'm not so confident that Mr. Random there has the same versatile skill set that this Mr. Random happens to have.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
No. That's I feel very. We talked about it earlier. What is the 1 in 10, 1 in 100, 1 in 1,000 that stay, and
that's another aspect. But so.
But I think that's again knowing, because that's one thing is, as I get older, and I think a lot of it has to do with me reading The Road to Sata. He passed away when he was early 40s, but he took the trip when he was 30. I'm taking the trip when I'm 30, 31. So I think about, as I get old, like I don't want to say what makes me different, because again, I'm just a regular guy from...
Overthinking. He's overthinking again. You're thinking too far ahead in advance. I'm sorry. I'm
not
trying to be the jerk here.
Yeah, no, you're not being a jerk. It's
Jason, you've done a bunch of stuff already. You're on an interesting path, just keep it up.
No, I have to get through this first one. Well, and that's the thing is, with this next trip, I was like, because it is, if you go the south route, Hiroshima, Fukuyama, Okayama, Himeji, there's so many, but then I go, well, no one really goes to the back, go to Hagi, or Izumo is obviously huge, but they're very, very famous. But I think for me, I want to go on a journey. I want to see these things. And then obviously taking people with me is a new aspect of it. I would have done this, rereading people who've done, there've been a few people who've walked across Japan. A couple of them have written about it. And I think part of it too is I want to see, do I have the same, I'm curious if I have the same, because again, I reread the Road to Sata this weekend, and there's a...
Might not be the best thing to do at this point.
Okay, I'm going to put it down.
How about this idea?
Yeah.
Something I read X months ago, whatever. It was something came in my morning news feed. It was a biologist or something, somewhere in, I think it was the American Midwest. They were doing an experiment. They got the prairies, whatever, and they counted species of whatever that was in the 1 meter square. And then somebody there said, okay, let's dig deeper, whatever. And they got their thing, and whatever it was 1 square meter or a yard, because it was America, whatever. And they dug down and dug down. And you know where the story's going. Yeah. They found 10 million more species than they expected to find. I don't know the number. I'm making this up. So there, you say, what route should I take? There's the Hiroshima, there's Izumo Taisha, whatever, the famous high spots there. But there could be an idea on the table here that no matter what quiet back road it was, no matter what little village that nobody had ever been to before, when you're there, and if you spend the time and dig a little bit and dig a little bit and dig a little bit, that there's nowhere in this country, nowhere on this planet, whatever, at the middle of the Sahara Desert, I don't know, that doesn't have interesting content to be dug up and found.
It's also just interesting people. Like I remember one of the most interesting conversations I had was at Fuji Station, Fuji Eki, on the
Tokaido you're talking about?
During the Tokaido, I was walking, and then there's not actually Fuji Shuku, it's Yoshiwara, and you walk to. But I was staying around Fuji, and I was just at a restaurant with a woman, and she was running it, and it was late, and she had a ton of vinyl I mean, you name it, but we just talked music and we talked stuff, and it's, again... Okay,
there will be serendipitous, interesting things, but the journey you're planning now is going to go through a lot of backcountry where there's not so much going on, and a bit of advanced planning, I don't mean now, but a little bit of research. There's two ways to look at this. When I was still on NHK's roster for the Journeys in Japan program, this is long ago, I'm long ago laid off from those guys, but when I was still doing the Journeys in Japan programs, the guy would phone me up and say, are you free 3 days next, 2 weeks or so? And I'd say, yes, where are we going? And he'd say, okay, I'm telling you where we're going, because we meet at Haneda Airport, and we're going to fly out there. We're going to go to Tendo in Yamagata. And because I know the rules and he knows the rules, he didn't have to tell me this. But in the early days I worked for them, they would say this: we're going to Tendo in Yamagata. We're going to send you the rough book outline of what's going on. And don't look it up, okay? I'm like, well, yeah, no, I want to do some research, find out what's going on up there so I can talk properly. He said, don't you do this. Because what they wanted was not a blank slate. What they wanted was a person to go in there and see things.
Reaction.
Look at this, and first reaction, be honestly able to react to this and ask interesting questions, what's going on. So the idea was, don't study in advance. But if you do this through your next things, there's going to be lots of small villages there where they're, and a bit of cooking up and seeing what questions you're going to be able to ask might be worthwhile.
Well, and this is something, and this is why another reason, because some people have asked me, why now? Why do you, because after such short, I just got back, I finished Tokaido on November 26th, and now I'll be leaving April 12th or whatever. Why short succession? But, I think one thing I also noticed during the Tokaido, a lot of the old Minshuku, a lot of the old places are shuttered. They're not, in the countryside areas, that's why some days I had to walk 35, 40 kilometers.
We know, of course.
But a lot of those areas too, it's even young people. There were sometimes I wouldn't see anyone under the age of 30.
If you were 18 years old now, would you be living in? You wouldn't. No. You'd get to the city. Of course, this is a structural problem that this society, I have not got the answer. If I was king of Japan right now, oh God, here's people, here's what we're going to do tomorrow. let me think about this tonight.
Yeah.
I don't have a master plan
Yeah.
for this.
Well, and that's I think
Actually,
you
I
know,
do, but
if
that's a different story. Not for
if,
tonight.
if I waited too much longer, I mean, it would get much more difficult to even have
would be a
towns to
different-
talk to
it
people.
would be a different kind of
it would
trip,
me
yes.
walking
So,
through
so,
ghost
so.
towns,
Yep, yep.
and it wouldn't be me hopefully talking to people about their town.
Okay, well, maybe this is part of the hook to hang this hat on of this trip. It's I can't over dramatize this, but maybe this is the last chance
Yeah.
at certain parts of this rural Japan before they are totally depopulated to zero. Now, that might put more of a negative mood to this trip than you want. Here we are, day after day after day, we're looking at wind blowing the weeds, all that kind of stuff. I don't think you would want to do that as a theme for your trip, but it will absolutely be a recurring motif in this trip. There were 50 people living in this town 10 years ago, and now there's nobody there, so.
Yeah, there were a lot of, I mean, especially throughout the mountains of Shizuoka. Little, 50 house towns, but you walk through them and you go,
And we understand
That's-
why.
yeah.
If you were there, you would not want to live there if you were 18 years old. Of course not.
I mean, even, I can't imagine, that's another thing, the people who do live there are usually significantly older, and I walked the only road to that city, and there's not even a conveni for 10 kilometers. I mean, I don't know how.
This is modern Japan.
Yeah.
So,
Out of, so you've done a lot of traveling. Well, where in Japan is most memorable?
I actually haven't done
Oh,
much traveling at
you've
all, really.
traveled some with
I
NHK or
said
privately,
before,
but-
yeah, well, that's just one. The 3 months we came here when I was still working in a music store, I took a 3-month leave of absence after developing a computer system.
Here, try screen OBS instead. Okay, alright, bye bye. Alright, chat. Sorry it took so long. We missed out one of the good views, but we are back. And we can still get some pretty good views. Fingers crossed. We have so much walking to do today too. Today is one of the longest days of the trip, and we haven't even started. I got the hat, and I'm glad I did because it's hot as shit outside. Okay, so that's where we were earlier. That's where we missed, and then I said fuck it, because there's no way that we're gonna get signal. And anyway, how's it looking, chat? I will say, here in about half an hour, I think we're gonna lose signal for a while. We gotta go through a ton of tunnels. But we'll be in and out. Thanks again, everyone, for checking out the video that I made with Dave. He and I, whenever I went to go film it, and the leading up to it, I told him, I was like, well, I kind of want to chat, and I was like, it's not an interview, but it kind of is. We're gonna ask some questions, and then kind of just turned into a conversation. So we also got our first 2 hate comments yesterday, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Who is responsible? Is this? Hold on. Are we back? TK79, are we there yet? If only. Alright, we're gonna have to play some. Like I said, we're gonna lose signal, but we'll stream up while we can. It's just an inevitability of where we're at. Also should probably eat a little protein bar and stuff. Okay, that's there, this is there. You can see Martian feet. You can see my tabby shoes. Tabby shoes, and you have to remove that. Oh, I forgot to do that. Yeah, I'll do that right now. I'll add it back when I grow it back, yeah. Mustache, gone, saved. It'll be back when we grow it back. I removed it. Okay. Alrighty. Also, I don't know if you guys saw, I'm wearing a fanny pack too. I learned last time if you wear gym shorts and you want to carry cash, a lot of times your pants get all saggy and it slows down your walking. Insert the fanny pack here. You can also like tie stuff to it. Also, so like I said, today we had to book a hotel for 2 nights, and we're going back to the hotel that we slept at last night. So today we're kind of cheating. We only have stream equipment and our camera. Our laptop and work stuff is back at the hotel. Still a pretty heavy pack. So look at all that garbage down there, chat. You can't see it from here really, but a ton of garbage washed up over there. Waist pouch, yeah, fanny pack, waist pouch. We're gonna eat this little bar. It's actually from my Tokaido trip. I found it in my backpack when I was cleaning it out. One of the ladies gave it to me, and but the expiration date was good, I think. Oh well. Okay, so we got a lot of walking to do today, so if we have more fits with the stream, I'm gonna give it like 5 minutes and then just shut it down. Because also the taxi was supposed to pick us up at 6:30. Picked us up at 6:45 after I gave him a call. Where are we at? Ooh, that reminds me. Thank you. I gotta do the real-time IRL. Forgot about that. We're at Cape Sata, the very, very bottom of Kagoshima. 1 day worth of vegetable juice. Yeah, I'm really considering because it's some of the routes. Today is one of the toughest days in the next about 2 or 3 weeks. I don't think we have a tougher day than today. But I think next, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are pretty short days. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, maybe. He's a big old freighter over there. What's up, B-Rock? Okay, I gotta delete the Tokaido thing, but the RT IRL, that's real. For your scenic route. Oh, it's gonna get really noisy, huh? Just right by the mic. I'll carry it back here. Plastic bag ASMR. Nice hat, thank you. Can at least keep my neck from getting sunburnt, but everything else we'll see. Time, it should be at the bottom. It's 9:51. It's a cool tree. I took some pictures of it earlier, but yeah, we gotta start walking. Didn't have been sauceable for some reason, let me know. Yeah, I'll let you know. I think this route we won't be passing through, but I really thought about it. I was trying to figure out a way to make that happen too, but I think we're going east to Miyazaki. Oh, son of a gun. I guess I can. Fingers crossed that I'm still signed in on this phone. Please, please, please. Oh man, what's my password here? Am I really gonna have to take both phones at the same time? I can change it later, DK79. Sorry about that. Depending on the location of where we're at. Okay, we gotta find iPhone. I guess we're just gonna have to double pocket these things. Not really what I want to do, but okay. See, that's the bus I was gonna have to take. No one's even taking it. See if we get more of a sidewalk over here. Free bus? No. I called them a couple days ago asking if I could take it one way. And they said no, they only let people take it round trip. So I was like, huh. Which is kind of annoying. But the problem is there is no, like, if I walked all the one time, sure, but doing that and then doing more the next day and the next day and the next day. Hello. Can you see me? Can you hear me? I think we're gonna show this, and then we're probably gonna have to shut down. I think it's gonna be like this the entire time. We live? Like, I hate. Kind of how it's gonna have to be, I guess, today. Whenever we get to cities, it won't be a problem. All right, yeah, we're gonna have to. They're gonna have to raid out. Because it's just, again, like I said, we have so. So I apologize, everybody. Yeah, we're gonna have to raid out because it's just not working. We're gonna go raid Nomadic Gaijin. If I get to a big city or something, or not a big city, if I get to a town, because like I said, if on the map you can look where we're at. We're very, very. That's all right, Riku. We got like 120 plus days left, and again, in a couple hours, if service is way better, I'll start doing it more. But I'm already an hour and a half behind, so more than that, and it's an 8-hour walk today, so 10-hour, like, yeah. Anyway, love everybody. Talk to you soon. Like I said, if I get to the city in about 3 hours and service is better, I'll put it on. 120 plus days. Yes, Nate. Safe travels, my friend. We will be live tomorrow, definitely. Tomorrow we're going through more city areas, so it should be fine. But like I said, we'll be on